Hello, everyone. My name is Gregory, and this is the view from out here. Today, I want to talk about circulation and our economy. There are lots of things we can do to make it better for everyone, not just the moneyed elite. Now, Republicans complain about the deficit whenever there's a Democrat in the White House, notwithstanding the documented fact that the last three Democratic presidents have reduced the deficit, cleaning up the exploding deficits left by the last three Republican presidents. Why is it that they cannot seem to grasp that neither raising taxes nor cutting spending is necessary to reduce the deficit? More people paying taxes would have the same effect without raising taxes or cutting spending. But we continue to follow the plans laid down by big businesses who are arranging the law to allow offshoring of the very jobs that would provide the required tax revenue to reduce the deficit. This plays into my belief that corporations do not feel things like loyalty or patriotism, and the bigger the corporation, the more amoral they are by nature. They have to be to survive, and I'll talk about why that is in another episode. What we're doing right now, though, is cutting support to the people who need it the most and giving that support to the people who need it the least. That punishes people who are not exceptional in their ability to sell things. It creates an elite that honors only one thing. If you're not a salesman, you're out of luck in that system. But do they consider that without those people who are not exceptional at selling things, there is no client base? There's nobody to buy the things that they're selling. Marianne Williamson did a talk on money about 30 years ago now that has stayed with me ever since. She compared the economy to a being with a circulatory system. Her theory made me want to pay my bills. Economies need circulation to survive. Marianne said that not paying those bills interrupts the circulation. My little section of the economy gets shut down when I fail to pay those bills. There are benefits to my money contributing to circulation, too. I have loyalty cards for a number of stores that I shop in regularly. The coffee shop, for example, I get a free cup of coffee for every 8 that I buy. At the grocery store, I get a discount when I reach a certain level of purchases. I can get those benefits because my money is circulating. These businesses know what Marianne Williamson was talking about. The health of our economy comes from its circulatory system. Now, on Wall Street, money circulates, sure, but it's also being stockpiled. The money mantra of Wall Street is he with the most money at the end wins. Every one of those dollars that are not circulating are cutting off the circulation to some part of our economy, weakening it in important ways. That circumvention of the optimum circulatory patterns over 40 years or so has brought us to the brink of collapse more than once. Right now, there is too much of our overall economy that is not in circulation. It causes part of the whole to become diseased. The result is that more and more people in the economy are not even participating because the circulatory system has been disrupted by the pooling of money in fewer and fewer places. Food stamps, EBT cards, are a good example of what can be done right now to increase circulation in the places in the economy where the circulation has been all but cut off. EBT cards stimulate the economy because those dollars are never stockpiled. They are spent immediately, right now, out of a sense of necessity. Every EBT dollar spent in today's economy stimulates over $1.50 in economic activity. If more people spend more money, the entire economy benefits, including the wealthiest. They now have more customers with money to spend. Extending unemployment benefits is another thing we can do right now. People who collect unemployment benefits are not lazy. They have unemployment insurance because they worked until their jobs were taken away. We do not pay unemployment benefits to people who didn't hold a job recently. Calling people on unemployment lazy simply isn't true, and it's mean-spirited name-calling. If all of the jobs that have been offshored to cheaper labor markets in the last 40 years had stayed in the United States, we wouldn't have a deficit problem. We probably wouldn't be 37th in healthcare and 17th in education either. Our thirst for extreme wealth for the 1% has led us down the path to solid mediocrity. We in the US are exceptional only in our ability to militarily dominate and in our ability to see ourselves as exceptional when we're clearly not. Now, don't get me wrong here. I do understand what the core of conservative Republicans' argument against Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and even Obamacare. They see it as socialism, and as such, it's anti American. While we're on the subject, I get so pissed off when politicians try to scare the daylights out of people about Social Security going bankrupt. It's not going bankrupt, it's been robbed. Congress has been raiding Social Security funding, using that money for other things for decades now to the tune of trillions of dollars. Once Congress pays that money back, Social Security will be solvent in perpetuity. That's how it was designed, and left to its own devices, that's exactly what would happen. It's a great system. But socialism is not anti American, it's an important component of our DNA. Conservatives fear that the more socialism there is, the less freedom and independence they will have, and that strikes at the very soul of what America is supposed to be about, to them. But like anything of value, when you take it to extremes, it becomes destructive. Take smoking, for example. If you trace the history of tobacco, you learn that Native Americans used tobacco as medicine. Tobacco? Medicine, you say? Whatever for? Believe it or not, tobacco, when used sparingly, is excellent tonic for respiratory conditions. Yes, it helps you breathe better if you're sick. And it's not the least bit destructive when used as medicine. In fact, it's healthier. Freedom is another example. Follow freedom out to its logical end, and what do you have? Anarchy. In order for freedom and independence to be a good thing, it must be balanced with the reality that there are things that individuals cannot do on their own, and that there are things that we have to share because there are more than one of us. That, dear viewer, is socialism. It's joining together to do things that we cannot do on our own. Roads and bridges, sewer and water treatment, police, firefighting, electricity, general infrastructure. All that stuff is a good example. Medicine is another. Back in the day when a chicken had real value to a doctor who could use it for eggs or a chicken dinner, it was reasonable for a sick person to offer it as payment for services rendered, and doctors considered it a fair deal. Medicine is a whole other beast now. That won't work because it's no longer a fair deal. The cost of medical care has so dramatically outpaced people's ability to pay for it that it's no longer something that most people can afford to do on their own. So now we have medical insurance, HMOs, and PPOs. That's all socialism. So anyway, we've been in this economic situation before, and we fixed it last time. Last summer, I drove up to Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood to get out of the house and maybe have a cup of coffee. It was a beautiful drive up to a beautiful place that now sustains itself on its own. And if you get the chance to see it, take it. My point about Timberline Lodge is that it is a perfect example of how we fixed this problem last time. We fixed it by building things, building big things, like Timberline Lodge, like the Hoover Dam, like the interstate highway system, all of which are public works projects. These things we built together to stimulate economic growth, and it worked. After a while, it wasn't necessary for the government to fund public works projects that size and magnitude because the economic pump of our financial circulatory system had been primed by these projects and was now flowing properly on its own. That's how it's supposed to work. Once you prime the pump, it doesn't take much inertia to keep it flowing on its own. How we did it is we put unemployed people to work and paid them a living wage so that they had money to buy things. As a direct result, other people began forming companies that hired more workers to make things for those new wage earners to buy. It's not rocket science. Everybody benefits when more people have more money. Beings thrive when circulation is flowing properly. When it's pooled up in so few locations, other parts of the whole begin to wither and too often die. That's exactly what happened to Detroit when the big three started moving their factories out of the country to save money on wages. What those public works projects did for us benefited every segment of our society. Our economy grew. Rich people got richer, poor people got reasonable subsistence, and there was an explosion in the amount of people in between the two. The tax base grew to its biggest point, and we were not in a constant state of complaining about not having enough money to fund programs that really needed it, like support for after school programs, early childhood education, and community centers that gave young people constructive things to do, which in turn stunted the growth of criminal activity before it even got started. Right now, our infrastructure is crumbling. Bridges and roads are in critical need of repair. Sewer and water systems are crumbling. Our power grid, after all this time, is still not able to withstand a significant wind or snowstorm, which happens every year. We have lots of work that needs to be done and lots of people out there looking for work. What is it that is so difficult about this equation? We already know it works because we proved it to ourselves by actually doing it. Our current situation is a perfect example of what a good government can do for its people. We already have everything that we need. All we lack at this point is the political will to just do it. Please have a look at the description below for information about my book, Searching for Saint Germain. It's a memoir of my childhood, and believe me, I had an unusual childhood. The reviews have all been 5 stars, except for one, and that was 4 stars. I'm pretty sure you're going to like this book. Anyway, give it a look. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe in the links below. Meanwhile, my name is Gregory, and this has been The View from Out Here. Much love.